Your comments and input drive the 208. That's why here on Fridays, we like to take a look back at some of the stories that had the most chatter from you at home. Oh yeah, we read all those comments. And one of those big stories this week was about House Bill 71, a proposal to outlaw medical treatment for transgender kids. Youth, I should say. Now, today, the House was supposed to have the third reading of the bill, but Idaho legislators in the House decided that they are going to bump the reading to next week because they anticipate there'll be a very lengthy discussion there. So we'll circle back next week. But this past Tuesday, we showed you debate from the Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee. It was a packed house for the hearing that would add transgender treatments like puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and gender-affirming surgeries for minors to Idaho's already existing genital mutilation of a child law. And we heard from Republican Representative Bruce Skog, who is sponsoring the bill. He split his time in committee with Blaine Canzati with the Idaho Family Policy Center. He helped draft the bill. We also heard from several doctors from Idaho and beyond, and they spoke both in favor and against the bill. Now, those doctors opposed to the bill stressed the need for such treatments for trans kids to help with their mental health and eventually their physical health as a way to avoid self-harm. There was a common take among those in favor of the bill: the treatments are irreversible.
A majority of gender dysphoric patients carry mental health diagnosis. Many have been sexually abused. I can testify that medically altering their physical appearance is not the answer. As a doctor who has sworn to do no harm, it is my duty to warn you against gender treatments that fundamentally alter a child's healthy body. These therapies sterilize children and do not address their underlying trauma. It would be considered unethical to perform a gastric bypass surgery on a child with an eating disorder.
So this was one of the most talked about testimonies of the week, and there was also passionate testimony during that committee meeting from people with actual skin in the game. We heard from Chris Hunting, a transgender person raising a transgender teenager here in Idaho.
I'm here today to ask you to please stop bringing things like this here. My kid doesn't need to feel the way I've felt here. My kid deserves to be here.
Let's stick to the bill. Let's just talk
Yeah.
about this, doing
Yeah,
the surgery on the kids.
Absolutely. As an Idaho resident and an Idaho parent, it is my right to have medical discussions with my kid's doctor about their health care. And I've seen many of you stand adamantly against the government getting in the way of parenting.
So kind of clarifying for you, these treatments are not the very next step for teenagers who come out as transgender. In fact, a lot of these people spend years in therapy before making any life or gender-changing decisions. They aren't sure, though, how many Idahoans are going through gender affirmation treatment because the state of Idaho don't really track this stuff. But we do know experts put the numbers of those with regrets less than 1%. And we got a lot of comments from you at the end of the show on Tuesday, and we wanted to share some more of those, what you at home had to say about this conversation. We'll start with this. Annette said, "I wish our legislature would quit trying to legislate their morality on all citizens, stay out of our family affairs. Worst thing about Idaho has always been the politics." Another one of you said, quote, "You can find percentages that support and dispute both sides. What's not disputed is when the front cortex of the brain of our youth develop. We're letting them make life-altering decisions without full understanding, development, or maturity to make that decision." Rhonda said, quote, "When it is the legislature going to focus on real issues, example, property tax versus transgender people and their medical challenges." Again, the third reading of House Bill 71 is scheduled to hit the floor next week. There'll be a lot of attention on it when it does. Of course, we'll bring that to you here on the 208. Just down the road from the state capitol, the Idaho Central Arena will be rocking tonight in downtown Boise. The Idaho Steelheads Hockey Club, they take on the Tulsa Oilers tonight and tomorrow for the weekend series. And it's a special weekend ahead for the Steelheads because they will be wearing custom jerseys for a cause. Yes, the popular Jaden DeLuca limited edition jerseys, they are here. And the team will wear them in this weekend's games, and then they will be auctioned off for charity. And I spoke with the Jaden DeLuca Foundation team and the Steelheads general manager about the event this weekend, what it means, and the impact community donations have for those in need. Carolee DeLuca, Jaden's mother and co-founder of the foundation, explains.
The Jaden DeLuca Foundation is an organization that raises money for children with pediatric heart disease. So we raise money for awareness, we raise money for treatment, we raise money for research dollars, and anything that we can do to help out families going through that situation.
Last year it raised over $30,000, and over the last 8 or 9 years, over $85,000 has been raised for the foundation. You know, our goal is just to give back to the community. I mean, the community's helped us. We sold out 19 of 21 games. We have 2 sellouts on Friday and Saturday this weekend, and they support our team. Our goal is to just give back to the community.
I think it's really important to note that the people that I get to work alongside with oftentimes say to me they didn't know they were a heart parent until they were. And so being a part of an organization that gets to celebrate their kids and help them feel happy and do cool things is really important. And I think it's awesome that that's right here in our community.
I have 2 heart kids myself, my 17-year-old Connor and my 7-year-old Paisley. As a heart mom, I know that the families that we serve battle alone every single day in the medical world. And so when we get to partner with our friends at the Idaho Steelheads, we get to show the families that we serve that they don't battle alone. There's an amazing community that fights for them every single day. And when the Steelheads roll out wearing the jerseys that the kids also have the matching shirts to, their eyes light up.
So those are the jerseys. You just saw them, and they will be available for fans to bid on in an online auction through the HandBid app. And fans can place bids starting this evening. It's already started off. It started at 4 p.m. and you can bid through Sunday at noon. Of course, proceeds from the jersey auction, they go towards the Jaden DeLuca Foundation and St. Luke's Children's Hospital. Of course, though, on the ice in terms of business for the Steelheads, big weekend. Steelheads are in first place in the league. That's right, the best hockey in the ECHL right here in your Boise backyard. Voice of the Steelheads, Cam McGuire, fills us in on what to watch for tonight and tomorrow against the Tulsa Drillers. The Steelies are coming off a win Wednesday against the Drillers, backstopped by one of their star netminders, Remy Poirier.
He's awesome. I mean, he's a great kid. He's a young lad, 21 years old from Quebec, and you know, like I alluded to earlier, he's been terrific this season, especially over the last couple of months, being named ECHL Goaltender of the Month for not only December, but January as well. And he saw a win streak snapped last Sunday down in Tulsa, had won 12 straight wins, which was tied for 4th all-time in ECHL history. Got the loss on Sunday, gave up 5 goals on 33 shots. So to see him bounce back Wednesday with a 37-save shutout for his 3rd of the year was pretty impressive, and excited to see what he'll bring here tonight.
Longtime veteran Mike McKee, and here's Polson back the other way. In front, oh baby! A right pad save from Remy Poirier on Max Scoulard.
I think the biggest thing right now, and something that head coach Everett Sheen and assistant coach Keenan Kelly are talking about, is obviously Idaho has a substantial lead in the Mountain Division standings. They're the only team in the ECHL with 70 points, and the next closest team in the division standings is Wichita with 53. So they've got a pretty big margin in first place, but now it's one of those things where, you know, every team is going to be bringing their best when they play the Steelheads. And when you look at the Mountain Division standings, 4 out of the 7 teams make it to postseason play. And Tulsa right now is at the bottom of the division standings. They're only 5 points back from a playoff spot. So that margin from 4 to 7 is it's pretty slim, and it's going to be a dogfight coming down to the end. And like we said, every team's going to be bringing their best against Idaho the rest of the way.
All right, I know that they've got a sold-out crowd expected there tonight. Puck drop at 7:10 in downtown Boise. Welcome back to the 208 on your Friday. So glad you're with us. This week, we introduced you to a bright new addition to downtown Boise. It's only been in place for about 2 months. Maybe you've noticed it while driving west on Front Street or walking north on 5th in downtown. It's a new art piece attached to a Boise parking garage. In case you missed it, Brian Holmes introduced us to the pale blue dot.
It's the most recent.
It's really awesome.
And possibly the most unparalleled piece of public art in Boise.
It's something very attractive for sure.
On the northwest corner of 5th and Front,
I think it's grand. I think it's really beautiful.
there's a sculpture that catches your attention and lets your imagination
I'm not sure.
run wild.
People scaling things for what they love.
The artist took it like a sun clock and went creative with it.
The artist?
My name is John Yarnell, and I am the lead artist and creative director for Studio Capacitor.
Certainly went creative with it.
To me, it's about connection. It's called Pale Blue Dot.
John's idea was inspired by Carl Sagan and the view of Earth from the Voyager space probe.
Visualizing it from a distance, seeing how insignificant we are as human beings on this planet, and that resonated with me deeply when I was thinking about this piece, this need for connection between human beings.
Evidenced by a couple of life-sized figures reaching for each other.
Like we're living in this digital age where we got our heads buried in our phones, or we're watching Netflix until we pass out on the couch. Is that a product of the political environment, the way we're treating the planet, or is it this new technology that we all love and adopted, and then created this place where we just don't communicate enough to realize how connected we are together? Or why we need to remember that we have more in common than we do, that divides us basically.
A disconnect that's become more distinct as John nears his 5th decade on this planet.
Over the last, it seems like 7 or 8 years, we've been more divided as a society than I can ever remember.
You don't really get that feeling from it at all. You understand, the more words it takes to explain something, the more balderdash it is.
Well, no matter how you see it,
graduate art school project run amok.
There's more than one way to see it, which is fitting for this faceted art form.
It was huge.
It took more than 2 years for John and his staff to put it together, and just 2 days for them to place the piece on the side of the parking garage.
The logistics that we had to get over just to take the piece that was now fabricated, move it to that location, and then install it on a wall that's 90 feet tall in the middle of winter.
But it's what they used that makes it unique.
Yeah, so this is a material called alucobond.
Something that has never been shaped into a sculpture before, John says.
And reflects back all this iridescent light at you. So it goes from that pale blue dot to like this deep, deep blue purple color that kind of like the Earth does from different angles.
Whether that's waiting at the light or walking across the street. But the best view may be from directly below.
And if you walk up to that wall and look straight up at it, you get the most unique experience. It changes gravity basically for you because it's designed in a way so when you look up at it, it feels like that's the plane of the Earth at that point. You just see blue sky behind you. You feel like you're on some desert plain and there's an oasis in the middle of it, and these people are migrating towards it for some reason.
Each figure inches closer to the watering hole, drawn by the shared human need for connection and safety.
It's also about the impact we place on that pool, the repercussions of ripples.
And each one of those kind of overlap each other from other people's ripples that are going across, and they all have consequences, and that's what those ripples in the water represent to me.
Pale Blue Dot explores an idealistic world in which humanity comes together and agrees to set aside personal differences to share Earth's precious resources.
And we just need to remember that that is something that binds us together, and stop focusing on the small things that divide us is what this is about.
It's a lot more than just blue dudes on a wall.
It's a lot more than blue dudes on a wall, yeah.
So, yay Boise.
All right, so why are the people blue in the sculpture? Well, John says he went with blue for the life-size figures because all of us are about 60% water. That's true. And we got a lot of comments on this story as well. Many of you said you had seen the blue dot and you love it. Sam in Boise said, thanks for the story about the pale blue dot. I love the sculpture even more after hearing the artist's vision. JJ said, the pale blue dot is incredible. Keep that kind of artwork going in Boise. And Brent said, pale blue dot, who pays for this art? Is it taxpayer funded? A couple of you actually asked us this. We can tell you that Pale Blue Dot was paid for by Capital City Development Corporation, CCDC. As always, thank you for sending us your comments. We read all of them. And next time you're in downtown Boise, take a second to look up. You might just find something you didn't know was there. Well, the company Top Trumps announced that they're going to release a Boise-themed Monopoly board packed with the locations and landmarks that are unmistakably Boise. And they want to know from you, what should they pick to put on the game? So, what would take up the high rent spaces or the real estate? Just after go. On Wednesday, Andrew Bartline took it to the people.
Reputations tend to follow you. And for these Boise streets, their established stature is in order to be ordered.
I do commercial real estate development.
So this is your zone, man. This is where you belong.
This is, yeah. I love the game of Monopoly.
Yeah, everyone has done that marathon Monopoly thing, right? Where like you leave it up and you're like doing it with your siblings, you leave it up for a week.
Let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And some light blue. I think that is because it's next to the jail. It's Boise Town Square Mall, right?
Okay.
I couldn't think of anything else.
I would say 8th Street downtown is kind of a simple one to say. You got your high-end properties right there.
If you had like a hotel on 8th Street, which I guess is the point of the game,
right,
you'd probably make a killing right on
right.
8th Street.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
I mean, the Penguin has its straws too, but yeah, let's take the duck.
Okay, go ahead, give it a roll, and let's see what you end up doing.
Okay.
Perfect. 5.
Okay. I mean, this feels like it would just be shots fired. Gosh, it has to be one of those, it has to be a dive bar off of State Street, right?
You think so?
I don't even feel like I can put a name to this because that feels rude.
It feels rude?
It feels rude to say like, hey, this is your like throwaway, because no one wants this property.
I can think of one dive bar off of State.
We can compare offline.
Okay.
Come up with something more creative.
Okay, that's a 10.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, this is kind of like middle tier property. What's speaking to you?
The bench. Let's call this, I don't know how to spell Kootenai, so I was gonna, that street.
I'll do railroads here. I think railroads should be parks because you got to incorporate the park somewhere.
What parks come to mind?
I mean, you got Ann Morrison is obviously a big one. I think that's one of the more valuable parks.
Okay. Oh, that's a little more respectable. So that's 10, 11.
Electric company. Well, that's easy.
Yeah, that's Power. Idaho Power.
1, 2, 3.
No way.
5, 6.
So that's a gimme. That's easy.
That's easy. Boise Depot.
Bingo. But there's 4 railroads. What would you do with the other 4?
Well, one of them's on Vista. One of them crosses.
Okay, you would do like the
bench.
intersections with the streets, kind of like how it goes adjacent to Franklin. And
Yeah.
I don't even know what St. James Place is. I think that's just a street, isn't it? Fine, so can I just do Eat Street?
I don't know, these ones are hard. They're not as easy get, 8th Street by Camel's Back, North End, Hyde Park.
I like Hyde Park. I think that fits there.
Yeah? Let's do it.
Light blue, I'm going to say Stern State. We'd say that.
Boise Monopoly Board, would you be a customer?
I'd probably be a customer, yeah. Just because it'd be something awesome to have on the shelf.
I mean, you could make it like a date night game, like, where are we gonna go? Roll the dice.
That's a good use of it if you don't have time to play.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fun. I think it'd be a perfect gift for family members. And I can see this is something that our agency would give to all of our clients because we love Boise themed gifts.
All right, so the company Top Trumps, they're a card company, but Hasbro licensed them to create special Monopoly boards. And the company, again, wants your input, the community input. And you told us your input. One viewer wrote to us, Monopoly Boise sounds rad. The North End is totally boardwalk. Evelyn in Boise said, jail on the Monopoly game should be the old penitentiary, of course. And Kim S. said that Caldwell also has a Monopoly game as well. Oh, cool to know. And check this out. Harv emailed us pictures of what looks like a Boise Monopoly type game that he said he bought in the year 1980. He said he thinks that the funds helped out the Boise Junior Achievement Program. And look, the money is even from Idaho First National Bank. Pretty dang cool. Now, in addition to sending your suggestions to us, you can send them to the company making the board. And you can do that by sending your suggestions to the email on your screen by October 1st. So you got some time to think it over, but we will find out. On Monday, when we were talking about things that don't exist anymore, we showed you this picture. Do you remember this? It's going to be an ashtray that was found in a bathroom of a Union Hall in Lewiston, and it was reposted from an original thread on Reddit, which ended with the letters WITT, WIT. In the 208 team, they could not figure out what this acronym was, so we asked you at home, and boy, did you have some ideas. We got more than 50 responses to what WITT is, and many of you texted in for the very first time. We love that. So now we know, and we'll never forget, what is this thing, WITT? But even better were some of the wrong answers. Roll the footage here. Let's take a look. Like Kathy in Boise with Willie is Telling Tales, or What in Tarnation from Deanna in Star. Angelo in Meridian said, What in the Tamale? Lori in Caldwell said, Where I Throw Tobacco. Jerry said, Where is Tiny Tim? Another, Where is Tim Tebow? Or Where's Tony Tiger? Waddle in the Trees. Water is Truly Tasty. Or Will I Trash Talk? All from Kurtz. Although Ken got it right. We like What's in the Toilet, which is fitting since it was in a bathroom. And Chuck M said that WIT made these type of outdoor ashtrays, WIT Industries. He says, Google it. We did Google it and found out that WIT did make ashtrays, not the specific type of ashtray, but a type of ashtray. Amy in Boise said that WIT stands for Workstation Interactive Test Tool, which is also right. This WIT provides function and regression testing for interactive software applications, this is according to IBM. And if you're ever wondering what WIT means, it's what in the world is this? Oh, and remember, when we said payphones don't exist, oh, well, Pete D. and Eagle sent us this picture and said they do exist in McCall. When we asked if it worked, he said, yeah, there was a dial tone when he picked it up. He didn't put a quarter in, but maybe that's because having real money on you is becoming one of those things that don't exist anymore. Okie dokie, folks, let's take a look at some of your comments on the Comment-Tron 7000. This person says, I love the big blue dot. Just opens your mind. What fun. On a side note, Joe, please trim your beard down. It's too much. I agree. There is actually several people in my life that agree, so next week we'll have short beard Joe. Paul says, hey, you haven't used any of my texts for some time. Are we still friends? Paul, you're always a friend of the 208, and we'll see all of our 208 friends on Monday.